Hello and welcome to Gluten Watchers. I am your host, Rachel Toon, and on this episode, I would like to share with you step number 4 in transitioning to a gluten-free lifestyle. We've been going through my book, Guts and Gluten, a step-by-step guide to gluten-free living, and discussing the 11 steps, those 11 essential steps in transitioning to a gluten-free lifestyle. Previous episodes, we've talked about step 1, which was educating yourself and understanding what's happening in your body. Step 2 was simplifying your life and making the whole household gluten-free. Step 3 was learn to read ingredient labels. And step 4 is cleaning out the kitchen. So I put this in 4 because you need to know how to read ingredient labels so that whenever you fill your kitchen back up, you know what's happening. So how are we going to tackle this daunting task of cleaning out our kitchen cabinets? Well, you've probably stepped back, opened your cabinets, and maybe had the thought go through your head of what is gluten-free in my cabinets? Because if you've just always gone to the grocery store and not really thought about what you've eaten, and you've never had to, majority of your stuff in your cabinets are going to contain gluten. There's 2 things that you can do with it. You can first, if it's too much for you, and you have the financial ability to just grab all of it, chuck it all out, then that is one option. The other option, obviously, if you're not in that type of a position, is to go through each item, check the labels on them, now that you know how to read the ingredient labels, because we talked about that last episode. Go through them and see if you do have any items that are gluten-free. Now, you are going to have naturally gluten-free items, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. So what do you do with the food? Let's say you've picked one of those 2 options. You're going to either throw all of it, or you've gone through and now you have, these boxes full of food. You can either put them in the trash, you can give them to another individual, or what I would recommend is take them to the local food pantry and giving them to somebody else. So I strongly advise that if you are going through those labels, which is what I would do, I would go through all the labels. If it doesn't label on there that it's gluten-free, then it needs to go. Even if you think you've looked through all those ingredients and you're like, I don't see anything in there, it's got to be safe. If it does not have at the least gluten-free on it, labeled on it, I would not take a risk with it. Of course, you're going to have naturally gluten-free food. Those items I have a list of in my book. I have it on my website, and some of those would be your fresh meats, things that haven't been marinated or had any extra seasoning added to them, fresh vegetables, fresh produce, raw nuts. Those items are going to be naturally safe. Again, I would refer back to that list that I have for you, and you might find on that list some items you thought might not be safe and that you were going to throw out, and now you can keep them because they are safe. The other thing I want to bring up is contaminated products. Let's say that you're big into baking and you have your flour container, which is your wheat flour that you used to always use, and you have your sugar or baking soda, your baking powder, whatever it is. So you've got your measuring cup, you're getting your wheat flour, your white flour that you use, and you're putting it in your bowl, and then you take that same measuring cup and you dip your sugar out of it, and you put that in your baking mix. Well, that sugar is now contaminated with gluten. Granted, you didn't dump them together, but at the same time, just you scooping that out and then using that same measuring cup and putting it in your sugar, you really need to get rid of that sugar as well. It may seem like a minuscule amount, but it can still cause you to have symptoms and slow that healing process down. It's easy to get overwhelmed with this process, cleaning out the kitchen, but I want you to think about it this way. I am a mother of 4. My kids can collect a lot of stuff. We have a big family, and they're always getting stuff given to them. So I like to purge. I let them pick the different items that are more important to them that they would like to keep. But I start this task of going through their items with 4 kids and going through clothing that they've grown out of. And at the beginning, I'm really motivated, right? I'm just ready to take it all on, and I'm going to get through everything today. Then reality sets in of, wow, I have 4 kids' toys and clothing to go through. I start getting these feelings of overwhelming and starting to get tired, getting a little burnt out. I push through it, and then that day of the garage sale comes. And man, oh man, is it a beautiful day. I I see these items go away. Even though it's trash to me, it's treasure to somebody else. Whatever doesn't sell gets to get taken to the thrift store. I walk back into my house after it's all done, and I just feel refreshed and happy, and it's over, and I've conquered it. It's going to feel that way for you probably a little bit with this gluten undertaking. You have either been diagnosed with celiac, or maybe you've been diagnosed with gluten intolerance, whatever the situation is, and you are so happy that you have an answer, you're ready to conquer it, you're ready to do whatever needs to be done. Then you start the process, right? We're starting to walk through these steps, and we're having to learn to read food labels, and we're having to tell the family about everybody going gluten-free, and now we're getting to the kitchen, right? We're starting to wear down a little bit, and we see all these cabinets full of food. Your whole world's been turned upside down because of this one item, gluten. I don't want you to get burnout. I want you to know that this is a one-time deal. Once you get through this, you're on the home free. You're going to get through the kitchen, and then we're going to get through the next step, which is going to be the non-food items. You're going to feel so much better. Your house is going to be safe. It's going to be a gluten-free environment. You don't have to be worried about being exposed. And it's going to get easier. You're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't get discouraged. That's why we're going through these steps. I want you to know you're not alone. I'm happy to be walking through this with you. Definitely check out my book, my website. It's got so much more information in it for you to go through. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you can keep getting these steps and episodes that are coming up. Thank you for listening, and I hope that I am putting life back into your lifestyle.